Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today is my favorite video to film every month, and that is my July TBR. I'm going to be mixing things up a little bit this month. I have started doing seasonal TBRs, and I pick 15 books because I made each season 3 months long in my brain. So I've thought 15 books, that means I can focus on trying to read 5 of those books every month in that season. So I'm going to be picking 5 books off of my seasonal TBR to read in July, and then I will be randomly selecting 5 books out of my jar that are just my book titles. There's not prompts in there. It's just going to tell me what book to read. And I am going to talk about 3 other books that I'm going to be reading this month. And I'll start with that. I will rearrange because I couldn't get like the seasonal TBR and my TBR cart in the same shot. So there will be a camera angle change once I pick those. But the first books I want to talk about that I plan on reading are The Infernal Devices by Cassandra Clare. These are the next books I need to read in the Shadowhunters universe, so I'm trying to read all 3 of these in the month of July, and I will be doing a vlog. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a spoiler vlog on these, but we will see. The first one is Clockwork Angel, the second is Clockwork Prince, and the third is Clockwork Princess. I am pretty sure that those are like some people's favorite Shadowhunter books, so I'm very excited to read those. I have never read those, unlike the Mortal Instruments, which I have read, so I'm very excited for those books. To select my summer TBR, all I did was made a spinner wheel that has the books on it. I am going to cheat a little bit, and I am going to choose 2 books off of it intentionally because of a vlog I want to film next month, and that is books I don't actually have yet. So A Novel Love Story by Ashley Poston and Reckless by Lauren Roberts, which is the second book in the Powerless trilogy. So I will have those books very shortly, and they will be 2 books that I will be reading in the month of July. So we'll just imagine I'm putting those on the TBR, and then we'll pick 3 more books from this pile here. So to quickly go over the options I have Matthew Perry's Friends, Lovers, and the Big Terrible Thing, Chloe Walsh's Binding 13, Elle Kennedy's The Mistake, which is the second book in the Off-Campus series, Elle Kennedy's Good Girl Complex, The Bodyguard by Catherine Center, In the Weeds by B.K. Borison, Fangirl Down by Tessa Bailey, and Magnolia Park's The Long Way Home by Jessa Hastings. So these are the 8 books we'll be selecting 3 from, and then the next 5 will just be August reads. So I don't have to do this in August because I'll just have 5 remaining. So we're just going to tap and spin for the first book. Magnolia Park's The Long Way Home. Oh boy. Okay, so this is the second book in the Magnolia Parks and BJ story, but the third book in the Magnolia Parks universe. And I am now very much hoping that I do not get Binding 13 as well, because if I get 2 books that are going to be that emotionally draining in 1 month, I don't know what's going to happen to me. But we'll see. The wheel will choose for me. So I am excited to read this. I am excited to dive back into this universe, and I do have Daisy Hates The Great Undoing, so I can continue that maybe in the fall, but it's time. I need to pick this one up. So first, actually technically the third one from my summer TBR going on there. So we'll remove that one and spin for book 4. The Mistake. Yay. I'm so excited for that one. I read The Deal in June and I loved it, and I immediately went and bought The Mistake before I even finished The Deal. So this is the second book in the Off-Campus series by Elle Kennedy, and I believe it is Logan and what's her name? Grace's story. So I do not remember Grace too much from the first book, if she was in it, but I do remember Logan. And his story in the first one ended kind of interesting. So I'm very excited to see where Elle Kennedy takes his storyline in this book. I believe it is, like, they kind of have an encounter, and she basically, like, doesn't, and, like, they don't hook up or anything, but they have an encounter that, like, puts her off from him, and she pushes him away, and he regrets what he did. So now he's trying to, like, work to get a relationship, or to get her to talk to him again. So that's interesting. I don't think I've read something like that in a while. So that is the 4th book. So the 5th and final book on the summer TBR that will be getting read this month. Oh, please don't do that to me. Okay, Fangirl Down. Oh, I'm so excited for this one too. I really couldn't read that, and I just saw a short title and really thought we were getting Binding 13. I can't see. So Fangirl Down by Tessa Bailey. It is her newest release. She has another book coming out. I think it's going to be a duology called The Au Pair Affair. And this is a fangirl becomes caddy for her favorite golfer because he's kind of down on his luck and he's starting to give up. So he thinks like she's going to bring him good luck. And he asks her to be his caddy. And my sister just read this, and this is actually her book. And she loved it, and I'm pretty sure she'll be so excited to hear that I'm going to be reading this in July so that we can talk about it before The Au Pair Affair comes out in August. So 2 sports romances. I am happy that the Al Kennedy books kind of got separated too, so that I'm not going to be reading those in the same month either. And that Binding 13 and Magnolia Parks were not both chosen, because that would have sucked. So I'm going to do a camera angle change, and then we're going to pick the 5 books off of my physical TBR randomly. All right, so I was trying to get the whole cart in. There are a ton of books on this cart. I bought so many books in the past few months. It is becoming a problem. The entire back of this row is pretty much full. These are all romances, so I'm hoping I get quite a few romances. And these are thriller and fantasy down here, not as many, and a few nonfictions on the back. We will see what the fates have for me. I'm also hoping I don't start any series, but I just said that, so it'll probably happen. So the first of 5 that I'm choosing off of this is, oh God, a book not really appropriate for the summer. Salem's Lot by Stephen King. It's okay, I haven't read a Stephen King in a while. I was kind of hoping this would be for the fall, but if I truly, truly wanted to keep it for the fall, I would have pulled it off of this and kept it. So I really don't even know what this is about, but I do know that it is one of his most popular books, and I think it is a movie. Yeah, it's a movie. So it just says, Ben Mears has returned to Jerusalem's Lot in hopes that exploring the history of the Marston House, an old mansion long the subject of rumor and speculation, will help him cast out his personal devils and provide inspiration for his new book. But when 2 young boys venture into the woods and only one returns alive, Mears begins to realize that something sinister is at work. In fact, his hometown is under siege from the forces of darkness. And only he, with a small group of allies, can hope to contain the evil that is growing within the borders of the small New England town. With this, his second novel. Oh my gosh, this was only Stephen King's second novel. I did not know that. Stephen King established himself as the indisputable master of American horror, able to transform his conceits of the genre into something fresh and all the more frightening for taking place in a familiar, idyllic locale. Words are hard. So I am excited to read this. I have wanted to read this for years, and it has been a few months since I've read a Stephen King book, so it's fine that I'm reading a scary book in the middle of July, right? Right? Maybe it won't be as scary because it's summer. I don't know. We'll see. But he doesn't miss. And that was his second book. I did not know that. So book 2. I was just making sure that I only had one thing. It is Two Wrongs Make a Right by Chloe Leese. You can't see it, but that's what it says. And this is the first book in her Wilmot Sisters series. There's going to be 3 books. I have 1 and 2. I don't have the 3rd one. It's not out yet. I got to meet Chloe about a month and a half ago now, at a book event in my hometown, and she's actually from this area too that I'm from, so that's pretty cool. She's a local author to us, and she has a series that's like 7 books, and it's about brothers, so this was the shorter one. My sister has some of the books in the other one, so I'll eventually read that as well, but I wanted to pick up the Wilmot Sisters series after meeting her. And she writes about, some of her characters are like neurodivergent, I believe it's called, which she is as well, and that's not commonly like talked about, and like there's not a lot of characters that have neurodivergent disorders or personalities in romance novels. So this is opposites become allies to fool their matchmaking friends in the swoony reimagining of Shakespeare's beloved comedy, Much Ado About Nothing. So they meet and they know that they're not going to do well together, but to get their friends off their back, they fake date obnoxiously and convince the meddlers that they're madly in love. Then they break up spectacularly and dash everybody's hopes, putting an end to the matchmaking madness once and for all. That is their plan. So to convince everyone that they've fallen for each other, Jamie and Bea will have to nail the performance of their life. But as their final act nears, playing lovers becomes easier than not, and they begin to wonder, what if Cupid's arrow wasn't so off the mark, and what if two wrongs do make a right? So that's interesting. I'm just excited that it's a romance novel and not another thriller. But I am excited to read this so that I then can read the second book before the third book comes out, and then I'll be done with this little trilogy romance series. Chloe was really cool. I enjoyed meeting her. I enjoyed hearing about her. She's just very chill, and I'm excited to finally read one of her books. So book 3. Oh, I'm so excited for this one too. This is a thriller, but it's a summer thriller. So it's called The Counselors. I just got this. Please hold, it's on the back. I just got this at Ollie's the other day, and it, as you can see, is like a summer camp thriller horror book. So basically, like, somebody dies at summer camp, everybody has secrets, now they gotta figure out who did it. That's pretty much the moral of this, it's pretty much the synopsis of this book. So we follow Goldie Easton, who is our main character, and she's always had a special connection to the place even before she was old enough to attend. And it is a lifeline for the city that the little town that she lives in, provides jobs, money, and prestige. But very few of the locals get to reap the rewards of living so close to the camp. So it has a 5-figure to it. So it's like rich, it's for like rich kids. It's got a very high tuition cost, and Goldie is sent there because she must be from a more affluential family. So now she's back at camp and her friends are there, and she has a secret that she's dying to keep, and she's not the only person at camp lying. When a teen turns up dead in the lake one night, she knows that the death couldn't have been an accident, and she also knows that her friend was at the lake the same night. So she's questioning if her friend had something to do with it. Perfect thriller for the summer because it's a summer camp one, so I'm very excited to. Just bought it and I'm immediately going to read it when I have all these other books, but that is fine. So this is The Counselors by Jessica Goodman. All right, and 2 more books. It's a very interesting TBR. The Problem with Forever. I just bought this too. I don't know where that is. Also from my Ollie's haul. These books I literally just bought. The Problem with Forever by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I didn't know that she wrote romance. I thought she was just a fantasy writer. So I was kind of excited when I saw this with her name on it. And it has decent ratings. I did look it up on Goodreads before I bought it. So it seems like there's this girl Mallory that has a troubled past. And now, after years of homeschooling, she must face a new milestone, spending her senior year at a public high school. So she never imagined she'd run into Ryder Stark, the friend and protector she hasn't seen since childhood, on her very first day. The connection between them is still there, but it becomes apparent that she's not the only one grappling with lingering scars from the past, and as she watches his life spiral out of control, she must make a choice between staying silent and speaking out for the people she loves, the life she wants, and the truth that needs to be heard. So, sounds like it's gonna be traumatic. Can't wait. That's all I know about it, is what's on the back. I've never even heard of this book until now. So, The Problem with Forever by Jennifer L. Armentrout. And the final book. At least I got a decent amount of romance. Even if 2 of them are probably gonna rip my heart out. I am not gonna read this book. I am not reading I'm not reading 2 Stephen Kings in 1 month. This is Gwendy's final task, which is his. I'm putting it back. I make my rolls. I'm not reading 2 Stephen Kings in July. Sorry. Sorry, Jar. I'm making the executive decision on that one. I don't even care if it's a thriller. I'm just not reading 2 of his books in 1 month. I can't do it. Ah, yay. People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. Much more appropriate for summer. And I did want to read an Emily Henry book. I have this one and I have Book Lovers left, and I did want to read one in July and August so that I was done with her. Other than Funny Story, which I have to pry out of my sister's hands. So this book is about Alex and Poppy. They have nothing in common. She's a wild child. He's not. She has insatiable wanderlust. He stays at home with a book. My kind of guy. And they are like best friends. So they used to go on vacation together every summer for a decade. Until 2 years ago, something happened. They haven't spoken since. She's kind of in a rut in her life, and people are asking her, like, is she truly happy? and she knows that like that trip was what really kind of set her off onto not being happy, so she decides to convince him to take one more vacation together and lay it all out on the table. Now she has a week to fix everything, if only she can get around to the one big truth that has stood quietly in the middle of their seemingly perfect relationship. So, I don't know. This is probably the one Emily Henry book I know the least about. I actually really don't know much about book lovers either. But I think this is most people's least favorite of her books, but we'll see. I enjoyed Beach Read. It was not a 5-star, but it was 4.5, so it was a really good book for me. Happy Place was 4.25, so it's still highly rated, but we'll see where this one ends up on the Emily Henry spectrum. So I cheated a little bit, but my rules. So another camera angle change, sorry about that. But to go over the books I plan on reading in July, starting with the Cassandra Clare trilogy of the Infernal Devices. So we have Clockwork Angel, Clockwork Prince, and Clockwork Princess. For the 5 books I'm reading off my summer TBR, I have A Novel Love Story by Ashley Poston and Reckless by Lauren Roberts that I will be reading, plus Magnolia Park's The Long Way Home by Jessa Hastings, The Mistake by Elle Kennedy, and Fangirl Down by Tessa Bailey. And then the 5 randomly chosen books ended up being Salem's Lot by Stephen King, Two Wrongs Make a Right by Chloe Leese, The Counselors by Jessica Goodman, The Problem with Forever by Jennifer L. Armentrout, and The People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. So I did get a lot of romance. Is Magnolia Park's romance? Kind of, I guess. But technically, Reckless is fantasy romance. That's really my only fantasy other than the Infernal Devices that I'm reading. And A Novel Love Story is 1000% a magical realism romance. So I'm very excited for that book. So I did get some nice romance books, but I also have 2 thrillers and a little bit of fantasy to kind of break up the monotony of romance. So I'm happy with this TBR. I will see where that takes us, and I will be vlogging as many of them as I can. If not, you'll see them in my July wrap-up. So I thank you if you've made it this far in the video. Tell me what book you're most excited for me to read. If you've read it and you just know I'm gonna love it, or you're just interested to know about it because you haven't read it but you've heard about it, let me know in the comments which book that is. If you like my content, don't forget to like and subscribe, and make sure that you don't miss out on any more of my videos and that we can talk about more bookish things in the future. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.